Also, Southwest Airlines has been canceled over 10,000 flights this week and making up over 87% of cancellations over Christmas weekend. Thousands of passengers were left stranded in airports, unable to access their luggage. Southwest Airlines CEO Bob Jordan has come forward. He has said the following.
Here's why this giant puzzle is taking us several days to solve. Southwest is the largest carrier in the country, not only because of our value and our values, but because we build our flight schedule around communities, not hubs. So we're the largest airline in 23 of the top 25 travel markets in the U.S. Cities where large numbers of scheduled flights simultaneously froze as record bitter cold brought challenges for all airlines.
He went on to defend the airline, saying they were prepared ahead of the storm. However, the Department of Transportation says they are concerned by Southwest's unacceptable rate of cancellations, delays, and slow customer service. They are promising a full investigation. For more, let's bring in Captain Dennis Tajer. He's been an American Airlines pilot for over 30 years and is a spokesperson for the Allied Pilots Association. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we know Southwest is a little different from some airlines, so tell us, is there something that you know from a professional standpoint that would adversely impact them in ways other airlines might not be impacted in the aftermath of such brutal weather?
Well, their CEO brings up a valid point that they have mostly point-to-point. I fly for American Airlines, but one thing that Southwest has in common with American and at times Delta and United and Alaska some months ago was an epic fail of management to plan for the recovery. It goes way back to the pandemic, $54 billion of taxpayer money invested in the airlines to keep us surviving, which worked. But the other obligation for management was to keep us current and ready for the recovery. And here we have another wave of cancellations. It's unique to Southwest. It is not solely dependent on their point-to-point. We talk with the pilots there. I know them very well. They've come out publicly and said management was not prepared for this. They have antiquated IT systems, and they haven't gotten that fixed. And those pilots have been railing against management. You've got to fix this or you're going to face failure. And now we have something that is putting damage on the entire industry. Yeah, it's on Southwest, but as you fail, people's perception of airline travel is downgraded, and it becomes all of our problems.
Absolutely. Now, the situation has become so dire, the Department of Transportation, they have said they're getting involved. Here's Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg weighing in.
What we have going on right now is different for Southwest, this one airline, than what we're seeing across the rest of the system. As a watchdog, we are going to hold them accountable for meeting those customer service commitments, and we're going to have to take a deeper look at what's going on with their scheduling systems, other issues that may have contributed to this, because while we all understand that you can't control the weather, this has clearly crossed the line from what's an uncontrollable weather situation to something that is the airline's direct responsibility.
I think there's a few things that we can unpack there. Certainly, I mean, what you're talking about, the fact that, again, a great deal of resources, government resources, which, again, come from the people of this country, were expended to make sure that the airlines could plan for days like what we just had. And yet here we also have the government, it seems, also overlooking many of the warning flags that led up to this. I remind people over the course of this summer, we had a slew of cancellations for weather that seemed to many to be far less severe than what we just experienced. So I think at some point, do you think that there is anything else that potentially could be happening that could be leading to these cancellations beyond just the weather? Is it the gas? Could it be technology? Could it be cyber? Are there any other threats that perhaps have not been made public, affecting not just Southwest, but the industry writ large?
Oh, you nailed it. And accountability is key. It matters not which political party is your favorite. The bottom line, when it comes to taking care of people, that's a human cause. And when you're in business to do that and you fail to do that, and we cancel for flights for safety when storms are here, but this is after the storm. It's clear that Southwest management, as their pilots have said, and we've experienced, as you referenced, over the summer, management was not ready for the American taxpayer to come back in the strength that they did. And that's a shame on management process here. And I'd like to point out, ironically, on December 7th, I believe it was, Southwest management announced at an investor day that they're going to start up dividends again for their shareholders. How ironic that is, over $100 million in one quarter and almost $500 million through the next year. But they didn't invest in their IT system, something that happens at other carriers, even at American Airlines. So this type of disconnect between taking care of your responsibility to the American traveler after they spend their hard-earned money is a real betrayal of trust. And I know at American and at Southwest and all the other airlines, when pilots get our passengers from A to B, that means we get home as well. It's a professional and moral obligation, and accountability to that is very important. And if you're worried about the government climbing into your business, then if you serve people in a noble way, you're probably not going to get the attention of. So it's unfortunate, but the answer lies in the frontline employees, pilots, the pilot unions like the one I'm a part of. We came up with a summer program to double time pay our pilots for the holiday season and let them schedule it ahead of time. It worked very well. So when we work together with the reality of where things are always going to have more positive results for the American traveler. And I would like to add one more thing. Southwest actually said, we have enough people. We have more people than we had in 2019. That is a confession that you have an infrastructure problem, and it's got to be resolved, because you know what? The American taxpayer, you and I, paid for that to work smoothly, even after a weather event. And that's what we've got to strive for.
Absolutely. I think to your point, you look at what happens to pilots. We had everyone from FedEx to all the major airlines spending more time fighting the pilots about COVID vaccines than they did, trying to make sure they had the pay and security they needed to get their passengers safely from point A to point B. Captain Dennis, I always appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. God bless, and we'll talk to you again soon.